We're just going to call the meeting to order. So first item is approval of the April 10th minutes. Do I have a motion or any discussion with that?
Motion to approve. No, second that.
Okay, so there you go. Okay, now we will,
Any discussion?
so any discussion?
All those in favor?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, approved, there we go. Okay, so the next item is public comment on any items not on the agenda. Anyone? Bueller? No? Okay. All right, so let's go to the next one. Park project review.
So for this one, we have Ryan Anderson here from Bolton and Mink. He's our consultant that's been working on our next round of park projects. And he's going to walk you through the 4 projects that we're working on now. And at the end, we'll be asking for a motion on your recommendation to recommend approval of the projects or not. And you can either do it as a group of all 4, or if there's more discussion on one than the other, we could do it separately. But either way will be fine when we're done. So I'll let Ryan take over the driver's seat.
Thank you all for having me here. Yes, so my name is Ryan Anderson. I'm a landscape architect here at the firm Bolton and Mink, working on 4 parks over the spring and summer here, including a new park close to City West on Shannon Drive, Brookland Park, which is just south of the Kinnick Stadium, College Green Park, which is just a few blocks east of us here, east of downtown, and further out on the northeast side of Iowa City is Calder Park. So here's each of those 4 parks again. I'd like to talk to you today about what it is that, what improvements that are being made at each of those parks, where we're at in the overall project timeline, and then provide a summary of the public input that's been gained thus far on the project for 3 or 4 of those parks. And as I said, at the end of that, a park design summary. Then you have an opportunity to follow up with any questions as well while I'm here. So the first is lovingly titled New Park. Your next agenda item, I believe, is actually a discussion on the name of this park, but it's currently a wide open field that's been on the books, slated to be a park for a long time, and it's finally arrived. So exciting opportunity as a landscape architect to get into a relatively blank slate and provide a new neighborhood park for the nearby neighborhood here. Of note, City High is there immediately to the west. You can see some of the neighborhood to the north there, Shannon Drive to the west, and then Willow Creek Trail terminus is actually just on the southern edge of this site as well. So Willow Creek is actually just on the south side of the image, or the bottom of the image there, maybe just a little bit clipped off. As part of the RFP that we were awarded, there's some language I've included here. The program for the park is a new playground, a new shelter, and then park furnishings, including purchase and construction there. Moving on to Brookland Park, a much more established existing neighborhood park. This one's characterized by a lot of beautiful mature trees, and as well as some kind of topography that starts off in the north side of the park and then dips down to a small creek that kind of bisects the park. There's currently a granular loop trail as well as a paved ADA compliant kind of switchback. One of the primary objectives of the design of this park is to provide a more accessible playground experience for this neighborhood, and so we've explored ways to enhance the accessibility of proposed playgrounds in this park. Again, from that RFP language, this one's essentially just updating a new playground within this park. There's currently 2 separate instances of a swing and a climbing structure. You'll see later that we're putting those together partially for accessibility, also for grading. Moving on to College Green Park, another historical park in town. This one is seeing some recent improvements. We're going to be focusing kind of on the western triangle of the park there, which includes a half-court basketball court, and then the existing playground there. This one also has a lot of topography that we're considering as part of the design. Today, there's a hillside that runs right up to the edge of the playground, and what we're trying to do moving forward is provide a little bit more of a buffer or a shoulder to the top of that hillside against the playground to just make it a little easier to maintain and a little bit safer for kids who may be going outside the lines of the playground itself there. From the RFP language, this one includes the playground purchase and construction, and then also the full playground replacement and basketball court replacement. Calder Park is similar but different to the other parks, similar in that it includes improvements to accessibility to the park. Different in that there's no additional playground equipment being proposed as part of this project. You can see in this aerial image there's some new construction occurring on the right side of that image. That is part of a trail that's currently paved, completed today, that extends to the east and then to the south to a new development. And this project is essentially connecting into that existing trail, and then it'll essentially serpentining through the existing playground structures and up a relatively steep hillside to connect to the sidewalk following along Hickory Trail. Again, trying to provide accessibility, an ADA compliant route from the sidewalk, the right-of-way, to the park structures. Here's a kind of quick timeline for the full project. We kicked off earlier in April of this year. As moving along, we moved through some conceptual plans to basically align the proposed, the budget for each park with proposed improvements, get things scaled correctly, and just kind of get all of our expectations in alignment for each project. Once we had something of a game plan for each park, we moved forward into a public input process that I'll get into a little bit more in the next slides. Really trying to ask the local experts that are using these parks on a regular basis what it is that they like, want to see, just learn from them about how people are using the parks today and how we can incorporate their feedback into the proposed improvements moving forward. Over the course of the summer, between June, July, and August, that's when we're putting together the actual construction documents, or think of blueprints. That's what's going to be used for contractors to bid on the project. And then we're anticipating construction to occur as soon as this fall and likely extend through to next year, early spring, early summer, something like that. All depends on weather. So again, we have a kickoff process to kick off the project, talk with the city about kind of how the project developed, what their expectations are, learn about some of the procedures to make sure that we deliver the project within the rules of the government. And then developing those concept plans, as I mentioned, then follows the public input. We're at 60%, kind of milestone today or next week for the construction documents, and then those will go out to bid. And then we're also going to be providing some construction services as part of this contract to make sure that we're available to the contractor to help resolve any potential construction questions or challenges that may arise. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the public input process here. I think we had a really good turnout. We had, in this room, actually had 3 different meetings back to back to back, and physical boards, sign-in sheets with comment cards, and opportunities for the public to use stickers or dots to select their preferred, across multiple boards, preferred play experience, preferred park amenities, preferred playground equipment. So really trying to ask as much as we could of the public about what they wanted to see for playground equipment at each of these parks. One kind of fun question that we also asked as part of those boards is, what are people's favorite part about these parks? And I'll mention later again, but one of my favorite comments was, I just want you to make it like it is today, just updated. Like, I just love it. Just don't change anything too much. It's like, okay, so you guys are doing something right. So after that public input meeting, we then, the city then made that same public input process available through an online survey. So that was open to the entire public, and we then essentially collected all of that feedback from both the in-person and online input exercises, so that we had a consolidated input to respond to moving forward. Here's just a few images of that meeting. Had a lot of fun watching little kids get excited about the playground equipment. It was great. They even had their own little table to draw and color and tell us what they wanted to see out there. So those boards ended up looking like this. We really just tried to keep it fairly casual and informal and have physical stickers and physical drawing and keep it interactive in that way. So for each park, this is kind of the crystallized summary of what we received. There's some keywords as part of each of these summaries that I've highlighted because these are all directly tied to an RFP that we went through as part of this project that was issued out to local playground vendors. So these terms, these adjectives that came up were then integrated into that RFP language so that we made sure the playground reps were providing proposals that were in direct alignment with what the feedback that we received from the public. So for the new park, I'll jump back and forth really quick here. This was the only park where we had multiple concepts because this was such a wide open opportunity for design. We wanted to provide 3 different concepts, one that provided a loop, one that was a little more, so concept one is the option that provided that loop. Concept 2 provided a separated playground and shelter kind of along a semicircular pathway there, and then concept 3 further separated the kind of shelter space and playground space and incorporated the hillside. Some of the feedback that we heard as part of this project was there's some adjoining or adjacent properties, residences, and they wanted us to try to create some screening and some buffer between the playground and all the future traffic to the park and their backyards. And so the city actually took that in stride and has already planted some screening evergreens along the north side of this property. And then as you'll see moving forward, the design has kind of shrunken back from that initial concept 1, further away to the south from those residences to provide as much screening and space as we can. Contemporary theme for the playground equipment was the preferred option there. Active play experience, so thinking climbers, that kind of thing. And that's, again, climbing structures and then shade structures were important because there's very little trees out there within the center of the park today, so pretty exposed. We did provide fire pits in each of those initial concepts as well. We got some mixed feedback and determined that we would not include a fire pit as part of this project based on the kind of lack of consensus about that feature. And then the loop trail was preferred, and so the result of that is this concept. So I've kind of rotated on you. In this slide, north is up, kind of turning 90 degrees to the left here, so north is to the left. But preserving that loop that was preferred also ended up having to rotate the playground and the shelter just as grading exercises got more developed. But essentially the same concept there. And then as part of our RFP process, we have a preferred concept that we'd like to move forward with, it looks like this. Again, with those climbing elements, active play, and then we find swings are really desirable in Iowa City, and so that's included here as well. On the right there, kind of that, not the full kind of swing set, but something a little more consolidated since this is a smaller play area.
We're going to stop and see if there's any questions on that on Shannon Drive.
With the public input part, what time was that held, or what day? Was that on a Saturday, or?
So it was May 8th, so the day, or it was the night after the council meeting with the swimming pool.
Okay.
And we did it 5:30 to 6:30, 6:30 to 7:30, and 7:30 to 8:30, give or take, so 3 right now. Yeah, about this time, but after work hours. And children were invited to come, we had several children who came along.
And you also had it online.
Yeah, and then
Yep.
it was available for 10 days online afterwards, for anyone else that was interested. We received 9 different playground proposals, I think, for each one of these. So this, a staff committee along with the consultants that we go through the various proposals, you're seeing the winner on each one on here too, so.
Yes.
Curious to hear more about the fire pit. I thought that was an interesting concept to have in a park, but what the feedback was about that?
People were concerned about the safety of it and the location closer to their homes. We've heard that pretty much every time we've proposed it for the various parks. We currently have one at Cardigan Park on the east side, and then Calder Park actually has one. And it's very popular at both of those, but we have a hard time getting neighbors to be comfortable with the idea. It seems like
How do you manage it at those parks?
It's just self-serve,
Okay.
and we have not had a single issue. The Cardigan one has been in place for 7 years. Ryan actually helped design Cardigan Park. I think it's been 7 years.
Sounds about right.
I actually live by that one, and there's been absolutely no issues whatsoever.
How much use does it get?
Every weekend, give or take, and then a couple times here and there during the week, a lot of scout troops come over and use it. And a lot of just the close by neighbors use it. Our neighborhood tends to gather around it a couple times a summer. And
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I live right by there too, and it's used a lot. There'll be like gatherings for families or children-related events, and they'll do s'mores or other fun stuff like that.
Yep.
So when you get negative feedback, like in this particular, do you like bring that up that, there are 2 other parks in the town that have it and?
we do. It is a hard sell, and oftentimes not chosen by the neighborhood. In this case, because of budget, we didn't argue too much because
Right.
we really needed some budget savings as well. It's something that can be added in later once the park's established. If a neighborhood came to us and said, we'd really like to have a fire pit, I think we could add it in almost any park for a fairly low cost. So I don't think the story's completely over at any park.
Yeah. They literally come in on a pallet, just like Legos. So it's a fairly low impact addition.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
Did you get any requests for amenities for older kids, given this proximity to West High, or is there a feeling that West High itself already provides that?
There was, they wanted to provide a wide range of play experiences for different demographics. Typically, the 5 to 12 category hits 5 to 12, and then a lot of times that'll also serve kids that are a little bit younger. The demographic above 12 is a lot different. I think we determined as part of this process that we're trying to hit the widest range of age groups that we could. And so that's kind of why we stuck with the 5 to 12 range.
I would say there was actually more public input asking that we keep the high school kids out of the park.
Right.
Although there's no way, that's not one of our objectives at all. I think the shelter would get used by that. But that was probably the bigger neighborhood concern than asking for things for older kids.
That was one of the things I brought up too, looking at the color scheme of this park, is just asking the question, would you like to match in with the West High colors? And it's I think it's determined it's really important to keep this a neighborhood level park for the neighborhood and not an addition onto the school system there.
I have a question about the swing set design on the right side. Why, like, it just seems like, why just have a single swing versus like a more traditional swing set?
The fall height radius, so all playground equipment has kind of a boundary, like an invisible boundary around it, an offset that is defined by how high the equipment is and how far, basically, if somebody wanted to jump off of it, they would fall. Swing sets have a notoriously large radius that really just didn't fit within the amount of playground room that we had for this project. So that's a smaller, basically it's a smaller footprint that fits a smaller park.
The visual looks like that's mulch for the landing areas, is that right?
Yes.
Gotcha. Is that the same across all of the parks then on the playground
We
areas?
have a few that have poured in place, Willow Creek and the Pedmal and part of Weatherby have poured in place, and City Park. So we kind of have one in each area that has poured in place, but the rest are the engineered wood fiber.
And is this the preference now for you, kind of moving forward?
It's what we've been using. I think it fits within the budgets that we're given.
Gotcha.
And it's what our staff's used to maintaining at this point, so, yeah.
Other question I had is on the climbing structure. I saw that was one of the pieces of feedback, that people did want climbing structures. I know this is just an early rendering, or at least I'm guessing this is early. Is that the climbing structure that you plan to go with?
Yes, and the climbing wall in the back is,
Yeah.
you can hardly see it, but that's for that area. This is, well, I'm using this term a lot, but this is about what the budget would allow for. We couldn't go any higher with this particular budget, so that's the type of climbing we can provide at this level.
Gotcha, thank you.
And real quick, I noticed that feedback would suggest that park users value their privacy as well. Was there any features privacy-wise or anything that you took into account when designing this particular one? Or any of them in general?
Yeah, it had more to do with the neighbors to the north and their privacy from the park. So we've got
Okay.
we had planted 28 trees from after the public input meeting until now. We happen to have that many trees left over for another project, so we were able to add it to this project for free to help address the concerns of those two neighbors directly to the north. They also have a chain link fence already in place, so I don't think we've fully addressed their concerns, but it's about what we
Okay, so
typically do.
that privacy is for the residents around the park,
Mhm.
not park users
Correct.
themselves. Got it, okay.
Okay. Any other questions on the new park?
I would just comment that I always look to see what would a kid in a wheelchair do, and maybe not much on the climbing, but I do like the swing structure. Like if a kiddo couldn't sit up on their own, they could possibly lay maybe on that. Is that true?
And that's what we see a lot.
Okay.
Part of this one, can you see this black, like, thing that goes across over here?
Yeah.
That's kind of one of the structures that we're looking at to see how that adapts to people in wheelchairs using it or people with accessibility. It's designed specifically for that to help give them access into the play features, so we'll have to try it. It's the first time we've tried that particular item, but that was part of the choice on this one, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of playground, you'll see in all of these options, playground manufacturers are really aware of their need to provide some level of accessibility, whether it's an actual wheelchair compliant ramp or something that's still able to be accessible and playable and within reach, because there's a lot of other disabilities beyond wheelchairs, of course. So, yeah, that's kind of laced into their process anymore.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. We'll move on to Brookland Park. This one again with all the mature trees out there. I think that kind of lent to the preference for a nature-based and treehouse theme. Those are two separate categories that both scored very high at the public input process, and so we kind of put both of those in the RFP. Again, matching what's out there today, a combination of active and individual play experiences. So active, again, is similar to climbing, that kind of thing, slides, that level of kind of larger playground structures. And then individual play experiences are the standalone things that may be off to the side, something that kids may interact with on their own. Again, additional comments included more nature. They like the open space, so we were careful to consider what open space opportunities existed that weren't out there today, but also just preserving what's already there as well. And again, trying to do something that's not totally dissimilar from what's already out there today. This was the park where they said, don't change anything, we love it so much already.
So if you're not familiar with where this location is, it's just on, kind of go on Myrtle West of Riverside Drive. So I say that because this one is being paid for from neighborhood open space funds. So anytime there's a development, we receive a certain amount of money to either acquire new parklands or make renovations at a park. Well, that large new college housing project that's going in right on Myrtle pretty much paid for this park renovation. So we're able to do that. The park itself is 100 years old this year. So we're looking forward to getting it renovated and let them have a big centennial celebration. We had hoped this year, it would be next year.
So this is the update, or the current design for this park today. So today, I'll just reach up. The playground structure is here, and then you can kind of see in the rectangle within the dotted hatch there, that's this existing swing set. Today, those are both at two different elevations, and what we've done here is kind of move across that grade change with the sidewalk and then locate all the playground within one space, which is both more accessible and also easier to maintain and mow around. There's just less in the way. Providing just some benches out there as part of that, and then this also limits the amount of rebuilding that we have to do of existing park pathways. So the kind of switchback that you see on the right side there, that's existing pavement that we'll be tying into. It's already ADA compliant where we're tying in. And then the line that runs kind of east and west there, just north of the playground, that's the gravel loop. So that'll remain.
The reference of a thickened edge, what exactly does that mean?
So the extent of the playground surfacing, we like to, for maintainability, we like to have some kind of hard edge to that. Mm-hmm. And whether that's a beam curb or a thickened edge sidewalk, the depth of the engineered wood fiber is about 1 foot deep.
Oh, okay.
And so it's basically like a wall for that to all get held back in within. And then that same depth then is just buried as a thickened edge to the inside of the sidewalk against the playground.
Thanks.
Yeah. So we do try to abut sidewalks to playgrounds where we can, both for accessibility, but it also saves, it's a little more cost effective just to thicken the sidewalk than it is to do a whole new beam curb. Moving on to the our preference for the playground equipment in this park. Again, the themes that were selected were nature-based and treehouse. So incorporated some of that vernacular into the structure there, and then wanting to continue to have swings out there. So we've got 2 traditional swings and then one that's kind of a parent-child or adult-child mix there on the side. Also some freestanding option as well. One of the things that we're going to be looking at as part of this, kind of as it goes along, is are there opportunities to salvage the existing freestanding spring equipment?
It has 3 of the kind of original spring, they're on a spring. One's Clifford the big red dog, one I forget the other ones are, the kids. We think we can actually salvage those in this park and keep them. So that's our hope. Usually they're of such poor condition that we don't get to keep them, so I'm kind of excited if we get to here.
Any questions on this one? I'll move along. College Green Park. Not dissimilar from Brookland, actually. Got nature-based again. This one also had traditional, I think, to respond to the historical nature of the park. And again, active and individual play experiences. There was a preference for climbing structures again, and then also open lawn came up. They mentioned sunbathing and frisbees and football, just opportunities to do that as well. So wanted to make sure that we weren't overdoing it as part of the future programming out there. As we got into this and looking at what's happening in each of the 3 different playgrounds that we're designing, the nature-based theme had a lot of overlap both with Brookland Park, but also some other existing parks, kind of not part of this specific project. And because this park abuts a basketball court, existing basketball court that we're updating as part of this project, we thought we would go a little outside of that nature-based and do something more kind of basketball-oriented for this park, just for the sake of diversifying the park themings across the city. Well, here's what that looks like today. Again, accessibility being a driving factor for the designs here. So the sidewalk alignment itself isn't significantly different than what's out there today, but what has changed is everything is now abutting that kind of that sidewalk alignment. So today the half-court radius is offset with some grass in between the sidewalk and the court. That's now all together. You can see the little circle there in the kind of top side of the drawing for the basketball court. That's actually the location, a facsimile of the location where Caitlin Clark made her record-breaking shot. So over at Carver, so we think it'd be fun to honor that as part of this project. 33 or 34 feet out, just wild.
We did ask for the actual dimensions, so we're working on that.
Yeah, yep, yes. We are, again, the kind of the dotted hatch there, that's similar to where the playground is out there today. We're wrapping it a little further around the corner there just to provide a few additional play opportunities out there, some benches, and then you see kind of the along the top of the walk there, those are actually concrete cornhole boards that'll be mounted to the outside of the sidewalk there. So kind of playing off of the, there's a lot of kind of Greek sororities and fraternities in this area, but there's also a lot of residences and trying to do things that feel kind of like a backyard out here. So the basketball and the cornhole and trying to make a fun and active environment. Moving on to our preference for playground equipment at this park. The colors harken a little bit back to the Caitlin. Yep. So there's a theme going there.
There's a leak right there.
It sounds like there's water coming in, but I can't see it, so I don't. Okay, keep going.
Sure.
It's coming right from the ceiling. Okay, let me make a call. Keep going.
Okay, so this one's pretty heavy in the climbing, kind of ropes play style of playground equipment. So that's really kind of one superstructure and then a separate swing. And again, that's offset quite a ways just to provide for that fall height. The unique thing I think about this park is there's an existing tire swing out there, and so we wanted to keep that as part of this park too. So that's part of the swing complex there. In this image, it's a little hard to tell, but the basketball court would be on the right side of the image, and then kind of the slope falls off on the left side there towards the downtown.
I apologize for stepping out. Is the basketball hoop adjustable?
It will be. We're going to be doing a new basketball hoop out there as part of the kind of reconstruction of that court.
Will it be adjustable by users, or will staff go and adjust heights with intention?
It has not come up yet.
Gotcha.
I think most kind of commercial basketball hoops are, if they're adjustable, we can kind of either lock that or make it available to the public to adjust.
So it's more of an operational thing?
I think so, yeah.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, there's the city redid the basketball hoop near the park near my house, and I want to say like 90% sure it's the users can adjust it.
Sure.
So like in the last like couple of years, so probably be similar, I would think.
Yeah, that little detail we hadn't quite gotten to yet, but I think that's something we can certainly do whatever makes the most sense for the public and the city.
Thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions on this one?
As part of this, you didn't look at like the gazebo or anything like that?
Yep, so that was kind of that first step after the kickoff is when we got everything in scale and figured out how much square footage of playground we're looking at. And so we drew a pretty hard line to this wedge of the park to minimize the square footage of what we're touching, essentially.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions. Do you, the play structure looks, just from this look, it looks quite a bit smaller than what's there now. Is that right? Or?
I don't know that it's significantly different in size. It's always tough to tell on these renderings.
Yeah.
There's kind of a forced perspective there. Off the top of my head, I don't remember if it's a significantly different footprint or not from what's out there today. I know the overall playground footprint's actually larger.
Oh, it is? Okay.
But again, the fall heights, this one might, would take up some of that room as well.
One other thought, just given where the park is in the community, I think, did you consider like doing like hammock stands, like hammock posts? Because it just seems like it was something that would get used given where it's located.
So actually, the feedback we received more from the neighborhood was to be careful about having hammocks in this park due to the number of overnight campers that we already have occasionally. So we specifically didn't put them in this park.
And then when was the play structure replaced last?
Ooh, it's now, I think that Brooklyn is the oldest, and this one is the second oldest one that we have. I have the year in my office, but I don't.
Along the lines of Brian's suggestion, one other thing similar to hammocks in a way, maybe for the demographic or users, is putting fixed posts for slack lining that you can attach. That the slack line can then be removed, whether it's used for programming or if they're left out. But due to the proximity here, I think those could be popular there as well.
We put 2 hammocks in out at Kiwanis Park Playground last summer, so we're kind of watching those to see what kind of use they get and kind of talking about, see if they're popular and that sort of thing. So always something that can be added to.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a room in the budget, like a fire pit seems like?
Once again, not popular with the neighborhood, so.
They don't know what they know.
My apologies if I missed it, but the basketball court, what surface is the plan for that? Is that going to be a concrete surface, blacktop, some other material?
It's concrete, and then there's a topping applied to that for color and for tactile.
Got it.
Yep. Great. Anything else?
I forgot, was there a shelter for the Shannon Drive Park? There
Yes.
was, okay, great.
Yes.
It would be similar to the shelter you see at, Villa Park, Cardigan, Frontalds. We've used the same shelter in a number of our parks. So it would be one of the smaller ones with 2 to 3 picnic tables underneath it. Yeah.
That people can rent it. And
All right.
Sometimes you could rent a gazebo at this park.
You can, and it gets rented fairly often.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah, usually a lot of rallies and that type of thing start at this park and with the gazebo.
Okay.
I'll jump along to Calder Park. Again, this one's a little less, or this doesn't have any playground component to it for equipment anyway. But like I mentioned earlier, with that concrete edge around the playground, what we're doing is, since we have a concrete contractor out there as part of the trail work, basically refining the edge of the two existing playground areas out there that this trail is going to essentially bisect between, and just make that all feel like one accessible playground space. And then we're again connecting out to the east there to the recently paved trail, trying our best not to impact any existing trees out there today. I think there's one that may be in the way. And then there's also a couple memorial benches. You can kind of see in the bottom image there on the right and left side of the drawing that we are working around as well. But yeah, because there's a lot of topography to navigate between the sidewalk and the playground equipment, we have to kind of create our own length there to make it accessible less than 5%. So that's why there's that kink in the trail as it goes up the hill there. Any questions? This one's a little more nuts and bolts. Well, if there's anything else, that's all I got for the presentation. So thanks for listening.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so, I don't know if there's any other discussion, but now we need to decide, like, vote, you know, like, do we approve all four of them? Or is there one that someone has questions or want to discuss more? If so, we can have a motion to approve, if that's what
It'd
people
be a
want.
motion to recommend to council to approve the projects as presented. Something if you want.
I'll motion that.
I'll second.
Okay,
Discussion?
any discussion? Okay, do we have to do all in favor thing? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Can you rephrase that
Oh.
motion?
Oh, not motion,
Motion to recommend these four park projects.
Approve it to the council to
Yeah.
approve four signs. Okay, cool.
I do have a question related to projects when we do move to recommend them, and it's not about any of those individual plans. I'm wondering, could we also see a budget that's tied to those as they're
Oh.
presented to us?
Sure.
Just a kind of a high-level budget that just breaks down, as it said, consulting, playground purchase, those things, maybe if
Yeah, we
moving
haven't done
forward.
that, but we certainly could, especially when, at the point where we're showing them to you, we're pretty refined at about 60% plans. So you had the total numbers at the beginning, but we could get you the details in the future too.
I think it'd be
Yeah.
nice, as we see more and more, then we have some level of comparison, that we kind of frame up our own thoughts on where certain things stand in terms of the cost.
Sure,
That'd be great, thank you.
we can do that.
Awesome. Okay, next item, park naming.
Okay, so this is only an introduction to park naming tonight. We're not going to ask you to choose one tonight, sorry. This is the new park on Shannon Drive, which you just saw, we just talked about, needs a new park name. So as part of the public input, as part of the survey, we did ask everyone that and answered the survey to give us some ideas. So these are the ideas that we got. And I kind of put them into categories. We had kind of some that are around the just a directional where it's located. There's quite a few that thought of Irish-related names, so it's in the Galway Hills, and a lot of the street names out there have kind of an Irish intent to them. And then it was several different recommendations to be named after a person, 2 for Caitlin Clark. I don't know about that. Ashton Kutcher. You've got all sorts of different options there. Yeah.
My uncle lives in the area.
Is he the one that puts
Number
you-
2 under
yeah.
Irish related.
Named after Connie, yeah, there you go. So, And then we had some other random suggestions. So I'm giving this to you now. Likely our August meeting will be an on-site meeting at the single track by Terrell Mill Park. So we won't pick this up in August, but we'll come back to it in September. So if between now and then you have an idea, or if you, especially if it's to name it after a person or something with some history to it, why don't you shoot me an email about it so we can gather any kind of background information we might need if it's about someone. Otherwise, just start thinking. It doesn't have to be one from this list. These were just the ideas that we've received so far. I've often said that as Parks and Rec Director, the hardest thing I do is name parks. There's a lot of pressure to get this. No, it's not that bad. But so does that make sense to everyone, what your goal is? So you go out and look in the area too if you want. I would say we would probably not name it after anything related to West High, just because we as a city try not to do that with either of the high schools. We try to stay neutral, with the only difference being at Mercer because it's part of the 28E agreement. It's part of their facilities there at Mercer for baseball, softball, and the pool. But everything else we try to keep color neutral and not tie it to one of the two main high schools. So that would be the only one that I would say we would probably shy away from as things related to West High. But other than that, the sky's the limit. So put on your best thinking caps between now and then and go with that. So.
That location is just west of West High, right?
Yeah, so it's actually, you can see their athletic fields from the location. The Shannon, so if you take Rorett Road west from Mormon Trek, take Rorett Road west and then across 218 and you'll get to Shannon Drive eventually right before you leave the city limits, and it's over there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so item number 5.
Yep, that's it. And then your reports from city staff tonight are actually just from me. Both Brad and Tyler are off today, so you'll get just the reports from me. Things we've been working on and some general updates for you. We've been working on City Park Pool. The consultants have been in town a couple times working with staff committee. We're working towards the council, and you approved option A, but with the ability to look at things like still combining, having either 2 pools or 3 pools. And I would tell you at this point, we are looking at, it's probably going to end up being 3 pools, with the leisure pool separate from the lap pool and the diving well within the budget. We've been looking at comparing the Vortex or the current channel versus play equipment for kids, and we're leaning towards the play equipment just because of some real safety concerns that we've heard about the swim channel and just kind of the added expense of the ongoing maintenance and pumps and everything for that. We think that'll help bring us back to the $18 million budget if we switch it out to more like splash pad features and playground features within that zero depth. So still to come, working on that so that it's fun but not too loud, gives options for everyone but not too overwhelming. We're trying to find that nice middle ground on all of that. And with adding the play structure, we're pretty sure we're going to be able to add some other things for kind of that middle school crowd, like a climbing wall off the diving well area, probably a basketball hoop or maybe 2 somewhere, maybe lily pads, which are you try to walk across on the water. But we're trying to look at some other things that could be added to just kind of give that age group a few more things to do at the pool. But it is progressing. We'll probably have more information a few months from now. We're starting to see some architectural renderings of what the bathhouse might look like. And I'm not ready to share those yet, but it's coming along, so we're excited about that. Any questions about that? Yeah.
Can I make a comment? I just, again, want to ask that you guys pay special attention to the noise created by the splash features, because I just love City Park, and you hear the birds.
Yeah.
And you hear, kids playing and stuff, so just make sure we can still hear the birds.
Yeah, we've already gone with no bucket, so none of the loud, big, heavy drop of water. It's probably going to be lower to the ground, but there will be numerous fountains and different things. But yeah, we're really trying to figure that one out too, so that you've got the play factor, but not so much the noise factor at the same time. So we're working on that. We also had meetings this week about, or did you have another question?
Yeah, and I just, what kept coming out was families wanting to be able to play together, and so with the possibility of having 3 separate pools, I just wanted council to just keep that in mind, that was the main thing, that families want to be able to play together.
Yeah, we think this will actually do that better because it will siphon off the lap swimmers and open up bigger play areas for, so, but we're definitely looking at that, so. Okay, we're also, oh, yep.
Do you know, just as far as like play area within the pool, like how does the proposed new pool compare to what's there? Because there's like such a big open space. And one thing I wondered, we didn't really get a chance to discuss it at city council, but just like how much access will the pool have, like on those busy days? Are people going to be able to get in? Or will
Yeah.
there be capacity? Or?
That's a great question that I don't have a specific answer for. Now, we did calculate it based on bather load, if you remember. And
Yeah.
bather load is very similar, within like 100 people between current pool. In the current pool, you also seem to have a large expanse, but it gets deep fairly quickly. So this one will have, more of the shallow area. I think we could probably do a graphic where we put the current, the proposed one on top of the current, so you could see that. I can ask and see if we can do something like that. But I can also tell you we probably can't expand it anymore at this point. We are currently at 18.39 million in our estimate, and our goal is 18. So we're close. We're very close. We're already shaving things as best we can. So. Okay, we also working on Terrell Mill Skate Park, Roller Park. Saw some designs there, and the budget there is resting right around $2 million, which is, we've applied for a $200,000 grant that would take the budget from 1.8 to 2 million. We hope to hear back from that middle of August. We're confident we could do it even if we didn't get the 200,000, but of course it would be a more complete project if we get that. So those designs are moved forward. It should go out to bid yet this fall. Park, just kind of general notes throughout the park system. Unfortunately, we have our own garbage truck in parks, which is awesome. Not so awesome, it's been broken more than it's been up. So if you've noticed garbage issues throughout the park, we apologize. We're trying hard to get around to all of them, but they're actually having to lift all the stuff onto the regular trucks and take them to dumpsters rather than having the regular garbage truck. So if you see that and want to explain that to anyone else in the neighborhoods, that would be helpful to us. We don't know how long it'll be out, hopefully not more than a week or so, but every time it's down, we kind of run into these operational issues. And our other big thing is we just saw the storm come through, just ongoing tree damage and trees going down. We had a big tree go down across Park Road 2 nights ago. Our crews went out at 2:30 in the morning to clear. We're just seeing the soft ground is a good thing, the rain is a good thing. Virginia might want to chime in, but there's a lot of trees that are falling over as well, and we're seeing that kind of damage. So, and then all our rec programs are in full swing. And as I mentioned, the August meeting will most likely be on site at Terrell Mill Park. It'll be a ribbon cutting, which we had planned to have back in June, and the river levels were too high. So let's cross our fingers we'll get it done in August. And go there. So that's it from me.
Maybe it's already open, the Mercer pickleball courts?
So, not quite done. People are playing on them, I will tell you that. The nets are up, but all the fence work is not done between the courts. So we do see people playing. We're not shooing them off the court, and they're chasing their balls everywhere because there's not fences around. But July 15th is the finish date, so we are...
Oh, we're so close.
We're 5 days.
Okay.
City Park has been delayed. It'll be another month or so at least before the City Park tennis pickleball is done, but Mercer should make the 15th for completion. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. All right, you good? Anything else? Okay, and then there's no chair's reports, and so commission time. So we'll start with Virginia. Do you have anything you want to add?
No,
okay. Aaron. Caleb.
Question, if we could have an update or included in the report items from city staff in the next meeting about the plans for the Mercer Park ball fields transitioning to the school district use?
Yeah, I would suspect we won't be ready for that till probably September, but we can do it this fall.
That'd be great.
Yeah, so for everyone, the Mercer baseball, softball work, the project is actually now going to be managed by the school district. So it has transitioned from being a city project to being a school district project. And I know that they're still working on a few of the finer points of their contract and details, but we'll either we'll do it or we'll have someone from the school district come in and give that update.
That'd be great. I've been getting a lot of questions about that, and I try
Yeah.
to provide what I can, but I think that'd be a good summary. Thank you.
Rachel?
I've also been getting some questions from folks about, I don't know the technical language, but you know when you sort of enter into the crosswalk and there's yellow flashing light, on the trail that goes past on Muscatine Ave and then later on First Avenue where the Hy-Vee is, it's a little hairy. And I think just seeing those bright yellow lights, I don't know if that's city council or us, but it's hairy.
Okay, it's not Parks and Rec, but I will definitely take it and get it to the right people within
Thank
our
you.
staff to have them check and see what, if there's anything else, if they're not working, or if there's anything else that can be done. But those two crossings are, I agree, they're very busy.
I just almost saw someone get hit the other day.
You saw someone get
I
hit?
almost. There was like, it was close.
You
Yeah.
really gotta watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you really do.
It's bad.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely look into that.
Thank you.
Brian?
Yeah, I had a, kind of similar to Caleb, I had some outreach from a constituent about the ball fields at Mercer, and I just wanted to relay a couple of their touch points. One was that Field 4 is being taken out of commission for the softball field, so they'll be down one field. And so I think, and maybe this is just part of when we get some kind of update, but what's the plans to replace the capacity? So this would be specifically for like the younger kids, like the different leagues that maybe would use it. And then there was also just some questions about how the city decided, to get rid of that field, like what the process was. And then just a third point was the person had expressed a desire to form some kind of a friends of group that would help maintain the fields and what the possibilities were for that. So like, maybe they would have some small storage area to keep some rakes and then would be able to go rake the fields before games, and or maybe have like, periodic like volunteer days where they would, do some maintenance.
Sure.
Fundraise, I think there was also like maybe a fundraising piece to like
Okay.
help support upgrades, so.
We can definitely talk more about that. The easiest answer for the last question is to have them work with one of the sports associations, because we actually have those kind of agreements already in place with the different youth sports associations. Like they have storage, they have access to those things already, but we can talk more about that and see what the options are. Yeah. So, and I don't have the specific answers on
Sure.
the other ones, but we can certainly get that.
Oh, and
for you.
I also, one other thing I just wanted to, something I came across. There's this group that is, they're having these morning coffee meetups at like 6:30 in the morning, and they just post it on social media, and they've been using all the different city parks, and it's just like some random people.
I saw them at College Green one morning, yeah.
I just went over, I saw something on social media, and so I just went over and checked it out, and it was just like a handful of people, and they just wanted to get out and start their day off, and I just thought it was the neatest thing, so,
Oh, very interesting.
yep. So they're making use of the parks.
Yeah, good.
Missy?
So I was wondering if we could somehow figure out a way to do a better job of, like, when the city park pool is closed for private events. I've had a couple of people say they were walking up to the pool and there were signs that it was closed for a private event. And I already feel some sort of way about us closing our only outdoor park for private events. But if that does have to happen, if we can do a better job of either posting it on all social media and stuff like that. I mean, I know that's not a perfect system, but other than just walking up and seeing a sign that the park's closed or the pool's closed, or that it's going to be closing prior to.
Yeah, I will have to check. I don't know where we post or what we do those, but I'll find out and we can bring that back for sure. Sorry that that's been happening. Yep.
Anything else? Okay, I just have a few little questions. Someone asked me about if there are any plans to have Wi-Fi in the parks, like especially Lower City Park.
We actually have it in some parks, and we've worked with IMON to have it, and it's expanding. I don't have a specific date for Lower City Park. And actually, I don't think we've added any in recent months, but I can find out where we're at on those.
Or if
So-
there's a list that we know that
Yeah.
have Wi-Fi, so people can go study or work outside. And let's see, I was just wondering if there's anything planned for like that last weekend at City Park. Pool. I've been feeling very nostalgic every time I go, and just wondering if there could be like some kind of like celebration of life, or something like that. I don't know.
I believe the rec staff have been working on that
Okay.
with Brad God today. I'm sorry, I don't have an answer to that either,
Okay.
but yeah, I'll check
Okay.
and see. I know that we've had our cable TV folks out there already doing some like on-the-spot interviews of people to try to get memories and get their, how they feel about the pool, so we can have some video stuff in the future for that too, but
Get a group together. How many people did motorboat?
I know Marco Polo.
Jumped in the water
whatever.
at 6 a.m.
Yeah, great stories from that place. But another thing I was wondering about, like the downtown play structure, those two pieces that we've talked about before that are just really dirty and unable to really get clean, and then also chunks of the.
Yeah, so we've been working with the contractor. The pieces are not actually dirty in the way they are. It's the
Yeah.
rubber surfacing coming up from the surfacing below. So we have a quote to get that fixed from the company, but we would hope that the contractor is going to actually pay for that, because what's happened is that surfacing has failed in some places,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
like
why it's coming up.
Chunks of it everywhere.
Yeah, so we've been in communication with our legal team and the people involved. So hopefully by the time, by this fall, we'll have the remedies, at least to the surfacing, and then they had to bring a crew in from out of state to resurface the play equipment. So I don't know when that will happen, but we've gotten some ideas. Our staff have tried scrubbing it with everything imaginable.
Yeah, I
and
know.
it just will not, it's the black rubber and it will not come off, so.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like that should all be under warranty. This is so new.
So we're working on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And one last thing, there's a playground behind Mann Elementary. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, does anyone know?
Yeah, help me out.
Yeah, well.
North Market Square.
North Market Square.
Yeah, Mann Elementary uses that a lot, and
Yeah.
there are students in wheelchairs at Mann that, I was wondering if there's any way to make like a partnership with the school district and to get an adaptive swing there.
So what's actually kind of already happening in place, we are set, that park is through 2 or 3 years out from its renovation.
Okay.
The school district has set aside money specifically for, I think it's the big rocker, accessible rocker. They have it at some of their other playground areas. And they have money set aside to do that. They're waiting until we redesign the playground for where those pieces will go. But that is exactly one of the.
So it's a couple years out from having something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If we found like an accessible one, would it?
Send me pictures.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right, sounds good. That's all I had. Okay, anything else? All right, well, if that's it, then I get a motion to adjourn.
A motion.
Brian and Missy second.
Great.
All right, meeting adjourned.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks.